Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Steve with VMP Performance. Today on Shop Talk Saturday, we're going to do a walk around of my Coyote swapped New Edge Mustang GT. First things first, guys, let's get ahead and show everyone this Gen 1 Coyote Mustang motor with the VMP Gen3R Supercharger. Alright, so as you can see, we went with the JLT cold air intake. The fitment was a little bit better and easier for me with this intake manifold, or the cold air intake on this car. I'm still running the twin 67 throttle body on the car for now. It is our newest VMP Gen3R Supercharger. I started with the Gen 3 and upgraded to the 3R. So this came out of a running 2013 Mustang GT. I got the motor out of a salvage yard and went through the build process. Started stockpiling some parts to figure out what was going to work best and get everything configured here for it. It does have a Ford Racing control pack. I've got all of my factory gauges working on this car with ice cold air, which is perfect for Florida. The hardest part for the swap for me was fitment and getting the correct pieces to work together. When I did this swap, there wasn't as many write-ups and helpful tech tips out there or forums that provided a lot of information. I bought a lot of unnecessary parts that wasn't needed. If you buy a aftermarket tubular K-member for the car, then you won't need the swap oil pan. There's some other items that won't be needed, but the biggest thing was just the overall fitment and wiring. Being a former technician at a Ford dealership, I was able to do all of my own wiring and get all of the gauges and everything figured out within a couple of weeks. So as you're well aware, on these Coyote swaps, Power by the Hour does sell the swap bracket kit, so you can mount the alternator up and reverse mount on this side of the engine over here. To simplify things for me and make more power, I went with the Volvo S40 electronic over hydraulic power steering pump swap on my car. It is a direct swap, very easy to wire in. So I've got that mounted up in the driver's side inner fender behind the fog light bezel, and that clears up a lot of room for this to work out for me. So I went back and I put our spider bracket back on and upgraded to the heavy duty tensioner. I've now got my alternator back in the stock location. No more belt drive power steering on my New Edge. Right now, guys, I've been going back and forth as far as what the overall plan was with the car. As with any swap and build, directions change. And when I originally started this build, it was meant to be a fun street car. I had it detuned when I lived in Ohio before I took my job with VMP, and it made 764 horse to the tire. Since coming here, I've built a motor. It is fully forged on the bottom end with all ARP head bolts and studs. I'm still running E85 on a return style fuel system, and I'm slowly transitioning over to taking the car to just making it a fast street car and a car that is going to see a lot of track time. My goal was to try to get this thing with the full interior and it's still down to about a low 9, high 8 second pass. So right now I'm still running the Nitto G2s on the front until I can pick out the perfect front runner setup on it. So it's a 275 4017 on the front, and on the rear I'm running the Mickey Thompson ET Street R's. They're 275 6015s. Alright, so now I'd like to get ahead and get you guys inside this car and let you see the working gauges, and let the cameraman here feel this ice cold AC. Alright, so as you guys can see, the tachometer is reading, and we can compare that with my end gauge that I have here on the dash. And it is stabilized right around 930. So the tach is functioning. We have working oil pressure. The voltmeter will work right away on the swap for you guys whenever you get going, and your fuel readout will get working right away as well. So the tach, oil pressure, speedo, and the coolant temp gauge are the three that will need some special attention to be able to get the wiring going on those. But we do have functional ice cold AC, and the wiring for this took me probably about 3 weeks to get figured out, and again, I've got a write-up on that now that I'm going to be sharing with everyone. It's still a full interior car. I did put in a Corbeau harness bar so I could be able to have some upgraded seat belts in here for taking it to the track. We've got some very nice comfortable Corbeau LG1 reclining seats. Very nice for that daily driver slash track car feature. Other than that, everything else is pretty much stock. So let's get outside and finish giving you the complete walk around on this car to show you what's next for this car. As you can see from the back end of the car here, we do have some body damage and things that it was on the car when I picked it up. Again, I moved down from Ohio, got my custom plate here for the trash talking that I had to do when I lived up north. My favorite part of the whole process though has been the rear tail lights. Getting the new modern technology into this car with the Coyote swap and all the other features that's there with it, and putting the tail lights in really gave it its own unique look and feel for the car for me. Also, to go with the rear end on this car, I had a 31 spline Yukon Gear posi-track carrier set up on me that failed under the horsepower load that I was making, and I've since upgraded and went to a 35 spline spool with street strip axles. It does have 5/8 wheel studs to support the power, and I'm currently running a 373 Ford Racing gear. So this thing hopefully will be able to go to the track later tonight and be able to make some good fun passes here and hopefully get some video. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Shop Talk Saturday. If you want to see more videos like this and more about some of these swaps and projects we have going, make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button down below.